goes on. Welcome to the February 12th, 2025 Board of Supervisors meeting. At this time, we'd like to do our traditional moment of silence, so if you could join me in that, we would appreciate it. Okay, if everybody could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we changed public comment a little bit, seeing what happened last meeting. So this meeting, we're going to have the first round of public comment on items on the agenda. So if anybody has anything they would like to talk about that's on the agenda, please come up and state your name and where you live, and we'll be happy to listen. Nobody? All right. Huh?
There will be a second round.
There will be a second round, yes. Okay, moving on to reports of board members, since we have no committees tonight. So I guess I'm going to start as the chair. First, I want to thank our fire department. They were first on the scene of what could easily have been a deadly fire. They saved someone's life, and they displayed the excellence that they always display, and we couldn't be prouder. So I'd like everyone to appreciate what they do for us, and they are near and dear to my heart because it wasn't even in our township, and they were the first ones there. So kudos to them. Thank you. And then second thing I want to say is, go Birds! Go Birds! As the biggest Eagles fan, I could not let that go by without comment. Finally, I'd like to make a very short statement about this Newtown Sewer Authority. I'm speaking as a supervisor, and that is all. This is my capacity to speak here as a supervisor elected by the public. It is my feeling as a supervisor that represents the citizens of this township that I favor suspending any plans for a new plant. I have heard you loudly and clearly. We all have. And you are opposed to the project. And we listened to the people of our township. And we heard you say no, that you weren't for it. And so it's my job as a supervisor to back my citizens in what their feelings are. And you've been heard. As I said, we have all heard you. So this is not an official statement. This is just my own statement. But I would expect an official statement soon. But that is something that I can't do. That's all I'd like to say in that.
Madam Chair,
yes.
in regards to what you just said, I would suggest maybe polling the board to see how our feelings are, and maybe this message can get back to the sewer authority and take care of it that way. As you, I am also in disagreement to what is going on with how the sewer authority is handling this situation.
Thank you.
And I would also vote to suspend pursuant to this initiative. Thank you. And I certainly can't top Ellen's Go Birds, but I'll try anyway.
Well, this really comes as a surprise to me. As many people know, I've been attending the Sewer Authority meetings and have suggested ways in which they can improve communications and answering questions from the public. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'd like to say I am absolutely opposed to it, and I don't think it should be suspended. It should be outright canceled.
That's the big statement of the day. Now we'll move on to our regular agenda. Oh. Oh, I thought you just did.
Yeah, I have
Okay, you
nothing
want
else.
to say more?
I
Yeah,
have nothing
sorry.
else to report myself.
Okay. Anything to report, Mr. Secretary?
Well, I was going to report on what I said at the Sewer Authority meeting, but I think that is old news now.
Okay. Mr. Davis? Anything?
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Mr. Calabro? Nothing. Okay. In that case, we will move on to our consent agenda. The consent agenda includes the approval of minutes and bills. It also includes 4 budgeted items. As I say, they're budgeted, so we've already paid for them. We've already allowed for them to be paid for the money in the budget. Those items total $280,172.41. I ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it, but I have a question. Is that intending to include the bills list in the minutes as well?
It is.
Okay.
I think we need a motion initially.
Yes, I asked for a motion.
Dennis said he would second it. But
I thought that. I'll make the motion then. How's that?
okay, now we need a second.
Anybody, second? I'll second. Okay, thank you. We have a vote and a second. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, as the assistant treasurer, I have some questions regarding the bills payment. As usual, I track the streetlight repairs, and I know that the streetlights have been malfunctioning on Sycamore Street, and that was reported to me. And there's a charge here of $6,000, page 1, from Amor and Sons, $6,737.41, and they were supposed to be involved in repairing that. Has that been repaired on Sycamore Street?
I will have to find that out and get back to you on that.
Because the time I drove by on Monday, the solution was to somehow keep all the lights on. In any case, I'm wondering, are those lights the LED lights now?
They are.
Yes.
They are? And was there failure with some kind of LED component? They mentioned something about some kind of box.
I think it had to do with the control panel in the signal box itself.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to this bills list for less money that Armor makes repairing streetlights, because what I thought, when we okayed the LEDs, that there would be less maintenance involved in them. So I'm still looking forward to that. Last year we spent over $60,000 on streetlight repairs, and I hope we don't have to do that again this year. The other thing I had a question about, I didn't know what on page 1, ASAP brochure postage and printing. What is this? ASAP, it's for $3,716.47.
I believe that is for the newsletter.
It's the monthly publication?
Yes.
Or quarterly?
Quarterly, yeah.
Quarterly, okay. Because I hadn't seen that before, I'm sorry. And there were a lot of uniforms by McDonald's. I didn't know McDonald's also made uniforms. Is that the police uniforms? Okay. New uniforms. TD Services, Mr. Calabro, $9,430 on page 11, $430.42. We have put out, looking for a new bank. Have we received any indications from the banks for, not yet?
Not yet.
Not yet?
They're due on the 17th.
Okay. The last one was the Video Gold Productions, 1,000 on page 12, $1,005 or so. And I know we're also looking for a new audiovisual company. We sent out a request for qualifications. Have we gotten any no responses to that?
No
yet?
responses yet on that either. That's not due until March
not due
10th,
yet.
I believe.
Yep.
Okay. And we did buy a lot of salt. Page 14, $24,000, over $24,000 worth of salt. Incredible. I don't know. I hope we don't have to use all of it. We can save some for next year. That's all I had. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any questions?
Yes, Madam Chair, Mr. Mack brought up on the bills list that's always near and dear to my heart, and that's that we're paying TD Bank an exorbitant amount of money. I know we're looking for another bank, but if this was individual, I would have to vote against Section B. Also, it's a shame we didn't mention all the purchases that we did make that are on this consent agenda, because every one of these purchases came under budget, and that would have been nice for the public to know. But we're just blowing right through this $280,000 worth of spending that we're doing without giving any kind of transparency to it. So in that case, I would have to vote, because there's one item on here that I'm against, I'd have to vote totally against the whole consent agenda.
Anybody else have any comments?
Just that I noted that, of course, Mr. Mack noted how much the total expenditure was, or maybe it was the chairwoman.
Yes.
I wanted to note that compared to the budgeted amount, it was $11,500 savings from the budget, from what we budgeted. So I like that. Came in under.
I like that too. Anybody else? Anybody from the public? Any questions? Okay, hearing none. I'm going to pose the question. All in favor of passing the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? No. Motion passes 4-1. Moving on. Okay, we're down to the solicitor's report.
That came up quickly. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, it did.
First item on our report this evening is consideration by the board to send the joint municipal zoning ordinance amendment regarding outdated terminology governing the operation of the zoning hearing boards by the 3 jointure municipalities, with a recommendation to advertise. It eliminates reference to something that I believe was around in the 80s, and that was a joint zoning hearing board, one zoning hearing board that served all 3 townships. That has long since been eliminated, and also some notice provisions for the requirements to notify the public of zoning hearings. The amendment is designed to bring it into accordance with the municipality's planning code requirements for notice, so that there are not 2 separate standards. If the board's of a mind, it would be a motion to authorize sending that amendment to the jointure with a recommendation to advertise.
Do we have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Any second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion from the, hearing none, any discussion from the public? All right, that brings us to the question. All those in favor of passing the motion to clean up the JMZO amendment regarding outdated terminology, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Second item is also a joint municipal zoning ordinance amendment regarding wireless communications facilities. This has been in the works for a good long time now. It has come through the Newtown Planning Commission with a recommendation that the planner, the township planner, provide recommended locations of tower and non-tower facilities. The planner has provided that information, so if the board is of a mind, it would be a motion to authorize sending that ordinance back to the jointure to recommend advertisement with the locations suggested by the township planner for tower and non-tower facilities.
Anybody want to make that motion? I'll make that motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion from the board?
Yes, Mr. Solicitor, can you name the locations, please?
If you bear with me, I can certainly obtain that information.
And the township that they're located.
These are
Right.
Newtown.
Oh,
Yeah, these are just Newtown
Newtown.
So why do
locations.
we have to do it with the jointure if they're all Newtown?
Well, we're designating the places in Newtown where they're permitted. Upper Makefield's
How
designating
many
there.
are in Upper Makefield? How many
I
are
have
in
no
Lexington?
idea. That I cannot tell you.
All right.
I assume the planning commission had that information.
Well, of course, the jointure usually abuses Newtown, and they just seem to be doing it one more time.
I understand. I'm looking at an exhibit that was in the packet that identifies the various parcels that the planner has denoted as suitable for both tower and non-tower wireless communications facilities. It seems to run predominantly up the area of the PO right-of-way through the entirety of the township from south to north, in addition to several other locations. There, again, are specific individual tax parcel numbers that are indicated on there. I count them, but if you want me to.
I'd like to add that these will come before the supervisors if there's any question about them, so it is not by right. It is something that we can help decide.
Yeah, it's either conditional use or special exception that they'll have to obtain for these uses. I think there's about 20, I thought I counted about 26 individual parcels, including locations on the township municipal building property that are appropriate for tower and non-tower facilities.
Can you remind me which planner came up with the list?
I believe it was CKS Engineers, the current township planner.
Thank you.
That's who it was. It was Michelle.
So it wasn't the jointure, it was our
No,
planner.
this was the township's planner, correct.
Anybody else have any questions? Any statements? Does the public have any questions or statements about this? Okay, hearing none, call the question. All in favor of passing this amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. That's 2. Okay, motion passes 3-2. 3, 4, 2 opposed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The final item on our agenda this evening is consideration of a third joint municipal zoning ordinance amendment regarding billboards. The Planning Commission made a recommendation to this board to send the ordinance back to the jointure, conditioned on revising the ordinance to move the table that bases the size of billboards on the speed limit, and in its place, limit billboards to 16 feet in height, 100 square feet in surface area, and limiting billboards to being one-sided. So with those changes, it would be a motion to authorize the ordinance to be sent to the jointure with a recommendation to advertise.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion, but I have a question about it.
Okay, yes. Do I have a second?
Second, good second.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion from the
Okay,
board? Go right ahead.
The version of this that I paged through and looked at still had that chart in it.
Correct. Correct. The change has not been made yet. That would be authorized. If this motion passes, we will send it back to the jointure saying that we want the chart removed and we want those other limitations
So it's
included.
conditioned. I thought the way the motion reads, I'm fine with voting for it. But I just wanted to point that out, that chart was still there.
Right. It's with that, with those recommended changes. Yep.
And this is actually good because it gives us an ability to have slightly smaller signs than we did before because of the speed limits associated with the roads that they're on. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
Is
Were there, oh, go ahead.
sorry,
No, I was gonna say, were there specific areas that were designated that a billboard in our township could be placed?
That's a very good question, Phil, and I think the effort was made to limit the billboards in the jointure to the existing billboard.
Yeah, there's just
On
one billboard on
413 in Wrightstown Township, heading up 413 north and, before you get to 232.
Correct.
There's a billboard, I think it's on the left. It's
Been there for
usually,
about 40 years.
absolutely.
I've never seen any proposal to put a billboard in Newtown Township or Upper Makefield, so that's why I'm asking that question.
Correct. I believe that is the of the ordinance. Beyond that, I don't know if there are any parcels in the township that could be used for billboards, but I think that's a question for our planner and/or our engineer.
Our planner did designate 2 places for billboards that can be used. They're in places that I'm sure you would agree with having, she did her research, she did her work on this, and it worked out to the benefit of Newtown Township.
Where were they located?
One is right by the 7-Eleven, and the other one is somewhere in the business commons.
Would we have the deciding factor on if that were, so what does this ordinance do for us with the jointure if we already have the power to deny a billboard in Newtown Township?
Well, it updates the billboard criteria in the zoning ordinance based on the fact that any sign regulation that you have must be content neutral. According to the United States Supreme Court, a case out of Arizona, that says that you can't regulate signs based on what they say. You have to just regulate signs based on the type of sign it is, the size of signs, et cetera. But you can't say that a sign that makes this type of advertisement has a certain set of regulations, and a sign that says something else has a different set of regulations. So this modernizes and brings the zoning ordinance into compliance with the federal law.
But we have our own sign ordinance, which of course we could incorporate this billboard sign into the Newtown Township ordinance, is that correct?
I am under the impression that this is the township's sign ordinance, which is contained in the joint municipal zoning ordinance. This is it.
So we already have it.
We have a sign ordinance. This is within the sign ordinance. These provisions are within the sign ordinance provision of the zoning ordinance. This is amending the zoning, our zoning ordinance,
Okay,
the billboard provisions of our zoning ordinance.
all right, very good.
Any other comments from the board? Any from the public? Can you come up and state your name and where you live? Thank you so much. No, right there.
Janet Hopkins, are you allowing billboards on like 332, like these main highways? Wawa might be?
No.
Only allowing a billboard there?
No.
Because I hate them. All right, thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor to move this ordinance on, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, motion passes 4-1.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That completes our report.
Madam Chair, can I make a comment, please? You skipped over the engineer report, which I think is still on the agenda. And I want to just note that PennDOT has approved the request for using grant money for the new sidewalk extension on Newtown Yardley Road. And I know that our engineer is working on a request that I had regarding how we might see to bid this out and be able to afford to do that. I just wanted to make a note on that.
I believe that if that were to happen, it would cost us about $160,000 by us, I mean Newtown Township. That would be our part of the 30% that we would have to match.
Well, that's if you build the complete sidewalk from Cherry Drive, but I asked the engineer to look into breaking it into 3 sections. So the idea is basically I would favor going from the crosswalk at Tara Boulevard to South Elm Street in the borough along the Newtown Trail, so that the Newtown Trail, and I know we're building a sidewalk up at the north end or wherever the hell that is of the trail, all the way down to that crosswalk, and I'd like to see the sidewalk continue into Newtown Borough. And this goes along with what Senator Santasero and Perry Warren have been promoting, is more walkability between Newtown Township and the borough, and especially safe walking. So I just want to note that I asked the engineer to come up with a 3-part proposal, which might lower that amount that we would have to pay, and just to see what the numbers are. That's all. Thank you.
Does anybody have any comments about that?
Not about that, but since I guess we skipped over the engineer, because I know she's not here tonight. There's been an issue going through the, I guess you could say jointure, because it includes Upper Makefield, about this Sunoco pipeline.
Yes.
And the leakage that it's causing, and well water, which luckily most of our township is city water, or what you want, piped in water. But a lot of it is contaminating a lot of the well water of our neighboring township. And I was just wondering if there's, I know she's not here, but maybe our manager has any kind of update on that. And if not, maybe we should put it on our next agenda. And also to let anybody that is interested know that the Upper Makefield Board of Supervisors will be having a meeting tomorrow night at their building. So if anyone has any concerns or wants to voice anything, I guess they could go there. But I guess I'll turn to Mr. Lewis and see if there's any kind of information for us.
So our engineer had reached out to Sun Oil yesterday. They did hear back from them. The only work that was being performed in Newtown Township was work that they're required to do by DEP and its remedial measures, and they're trying to dig up the pipe, and in certain locations where they're told to, just to inspect it to make sure there's no issues, and they found nothing. So their work should be complete by now.
So we're sure there's no leakage occurring in Newtown Township?
That's what I'm told.
I have been in contact with the Upper Makefield Supervisors about this since it began, and they have wanted to keep us informed because they know that this pipeline goes through Newtown. You'll see these little yellow posts everywhere you go. Go into the Newtown Shopping Center, you'll see them. They're signs for this pipeline. Unfortunately, the pipeline was put in 1956. What happens to pipe when it's put in and it's that old? It starts to degrade, and that's the way of things. So I would say that we are going to keep on top of this to make sure that nothing like that happens here. Now, their problem is with their wells, so it's infiltrated their wells, which is really a horrible thing when you think about it. We have public water here, so it's a different, totally different issue, but they don't. So, this remediation is going to take years in Upper Mayfield. Again, we want to make sure that we don't have any problem here, any leakages here. We're going to stay on top of that.
This is a petroleum product, it's not gas,
It's jet fuel,
it's jet fuel?
jet fuel.
Oh, my God. And as far as getting to wells, I think the problem is it doesn't get into the well, the groundwater, which gets into the wells. And as far as I know, looking at the artesian water where we get our water from, all their water comes from wells. So if it gets into the groundwater anywhere in Newtown, I'm assuming it could get into the wells that we use for our water. And I'm amazed that, what is it, Sunoco? I'll never buy gas from them again. But they didn't seem to notify the township that they were doing this. And I got several calls from residents saying, what the hell's going on? And as far as I know, as I was told, we knew nothing, absolutely nothing about this. And that's that a major company like this would come into town and start digging up our land because there might be contamination of our groundwater. And I'm glad they didn't find any problem, but I'm just saying they need to be more forthright in notifying the township.
I think we all agree with that.
The only difference, I think, in the well water that Upper Makefield residents have, it goes directly to their home, whereas the well water that possibly may get into where the artesian water company deals with goes through a purification system. So we won't be drinking contaminated well water. It will be purified, whereas opposed to the individuals that may have their own well water and on their property, yes, it would be more contaminated to them. So we may have a little bit of a safeguard, although we still would want to know if this was happening. Our safeguard is that the Newtown Artesian Water Company does purify the water before we get it. So.
All true. Okay. Where are we? I think we're up to the manager's report.
Thank you. General fund balance this evening is $6,844,092. Planned expiration is before the board with no action required. This evening we have Chief Hearn to give his monthly police report. Evening, Chief.
Good evening, sir. Board members, members of the community. It's a summary of the police report for January 2025. We documented 2,851 calls for service in Newtown Township. We logged 24,323 miles on our patrol fleet. For the month of January, we had 14 arrests/clearances, which included an animal cruelty, a retail theft, 2 narcotics violations, a forgery, 2 related traffic-related fleeing incidents, 1 harassment was domestic-related, 2 warrants from out of county, and 4 DUIs. Investigations for the month of January, there were 12 new cases referred to detectives with 4 crime scenes processed, some of which were frauds. There were 5 frauds, a residential fire on Columbine Circle, an attempted commercial burglary at Council Rock School District, 1 criminal mischief, 1 retail theft, 1 violation of firearms and narcotics investigations, which is currently ongoing, a natural death, and 1 animal cruelty incident, which was documented in the media. Yeah. There were 65 traffic crashes for the month, 15 reportable, 20 non-reportable, 8 property damage, 5 hit and runs, and 17 deer collisions. There were 134 traffic citations issued and 170 warnings issued to the public. There were two truck enforcement details for the month, resulting in 28 truck inspections, 1 citation, 6 warnings. 1 vehicle was placed out of service, and 2 vehicles were towed from the scene. Notable jobs or significant events for the month of January. Like I mentioned, on January 18th in the Headley development, we had an occupant of the residence kill his 2 family pets inside their residence and then injured himself. As a result, the police responded, took the male into custody. He was treated for various issues, and then criminal charges were made against that individual, where he's currently held at Bucks County Prisons. On 1/26, our Newtown Township Police MERT responded to assist Philadelphia Resources during the celebration of the Philadelphia Eagles NFC Championship, and we'll be doing the same thing this week, along with our motorcycle unit, for the festivities of the parade in Philadelphia. Both of them events are reimbursable. Public service announcements. Frauds are increasing, particularly on the elderly. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Please pay attention, protect your identity. Mail from inside the post office. Don't use freestanding post office boxes. Pay attention to your parents, your grandparents, and your elderly neighbors. They seem to be the most vulnerable for these types of solicitations. You try to get personal information, and they're now using artificial intelligence to describe their voices as their grandkids trying to get their money. So just keep that in mind. Please pay attention. Severe weather conditions are ongoing. Watch your driving, lower your speed. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for the chief?
Just want to comment, I hope the speed trailer is put to good use. I know it will be. We need to control the speeding. I don't know how many speeding citations you gave out last month, but that's a major factor in terms of public safety, I believe. And I noticed that this has several neat features, like it can store up to 25 pre-programmed messages.
That's correct, sir.
I don't know, I hope we can do some creative messaging so that you pay attention and slow down. Thank you.
I'll try to be creative, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, just to explain a popular scam that's going on via text. Anyone that has an Easy Pass account may get a text saying that they owe Easy Pass a nominal amount of money, say $6.99. Well, I just want to remind the people that any Easy Pass department will not send you a text. If there's any issue, they would send you a old-fashioned letter by mail. So if you get any of these, just automatically delete them off your phone. Don't click on any of the links, because it is, as a matter of fact, if you look at the phone number it's coming from, the phone number is from the Philippines. So it's just a scam for anyone that may have an Easy Pass account.
Great information, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. That's all we have under our report.
Which brings us to our last public comment, and that is for anybody who has anything else to say tonight. You're welcome to come up. Please, Newtown residents first. State your name and address as usual.
Valerie Mahalik from Newtown Walk. First of all, thank you, Chief Hearn, for all that you and your department do. And I would like to echo the words of Supervisor Snyder in recognizing firefighter Michael Bradshaw and firefighter Quentin Jones for their incredibly heroic efforts in going back in to save the woman who went back inside to save her pet. So, and also to the trash haulers who were driving by and went in and helped the one gentleman who was in a chairlift to get down the stairs. So a lot of people answered the call that day, and particularly our 2 paid firefighters definitely helped them get to the scene quick. We actually drove by the house, and it was a miracle that they made it out alive. it's very encouraging to hear that the supervisors are against the sewer treatment plan, and I particularly appreciate Supervisor Davis's thought to cancel the whole project altogether, but it's just an intent. What we would like to hear is bringing the sewer authority back to really start making sure that this whole process stops. I mean, because it is still unknown how the authority even started the project without apparently consulting the township first. Shouldn't they have? It is also curious that the sewer authority did not seek resident input throughout this process prior to pushing the plan, which raises the question that there is still apparently a problem. Can the Board of Supervisors ask the sewer authority, what is the plan to fix it? Can the Board of Supervisors ask the sewer authority to present to the public other options to address the sewer treatment issues? And lastly, can the Board of Supervisors ask the sewer authority for a cost breakdown of rates and what proposed fixes will do to future rates? Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Todd McGonigal from Linton Hill Farms in Newtown. I'm glad to hear that you guys are in opposition currently to the sewer plant going in. But until then, I did want to educate the public as to Newtown's Act 530, what it means for us here in Newtown. 537 basically is the municipal plan for what can happen and how our wastewater is treated, disposed of, and conveyed out of Newtown. So the sewer plant cannot be built unless the language is amended to include a local plant being built. So until this plant is officially canceled, it can't go through unless these supervisors amend that language and basically approve it. So this did happen back in 2013, I believe, when we had the packed house here and the supervisors did vote unanimously 5-0 to not allow the sewer plant to go through. And at that point, the township manager was instructed to write a letter to the sewer authority saying, please cease all exploration for this plan. Because in the meantime, ratepayers' money is being spent to explore the options for this. So supervisors, please, let's get this letter written to the sewer authority and have them stop exploring this as an option. Let's get it officially canceled. Because ultimately, nothing can happen with this sewer plant unless it comes through this room with you supervisors. So again, I'm glad to hear that you guys are looking to cancel it, but until it's canceled, please do your due diligence. Thank you.
Fran Haller, I live in Newtown Grant. Thank you, Kyle, for expressing total cancellation for this sewer treatment plan. And I thank your fellow supervisors for at least saying suspending, but suspending isn't canceling, and we won't be quiet until we hear that it's canceled. My question to you is, when this, if, God willing, this project is dead, can you push for them, well, even before then, why don't you push for Newtown Sewer Authority to sell that property? And then can we reduce our rates by 47%? And if you sell it at a really good profit, maybe we could get a rebate for the 47% that we already spent. My last sewer bill was outrageous because of the 47%. Well, you know all about that. So that's what I'm asking. Can you push them to sell this property and then get rid of that increase? Thank you very much.
I just want to answer that quickly. We are mandated, the sewer authority is mandated to hold on to that property for a certain amount of time. I'm not sure exactly what that is. I think it's 3 to 5 years. I don't know why that's the rule, but that is the rule from what I've heard. Most increase is from, passed on from Philadelphia to Bucks to us, and that is unfortunately the truth. So you don't have to show me the budget. I know the budget.
I'm not going to show you the
That's all I
budget.
want to say. Thank you.
Okay, but that 47% increase, go back to the Newtown Sewer Authority at the June 11th meeting. Fellow board member, Mr. Walker, remarked that an increase of rates was necessary, taking into account the debt service of land acquisition and capital cost of wastewater treatment plant. And at July 16th meeting, you motioned for the 47% increase. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, maybe Bucks County Sewer Water Authority was doing some increases, but it's admittedly on the June 11th meeting, the Sewer Authority was saying we need to raise rates to cover our costs of the land acquisition and the capital cost of the water waste proposal. So that is tied into this. You know, if they have to hold on to that land for 3 to 5 years, then stop exploring, stop spending on the engineer, stop spending legal fees, because the plant should be canceled. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, may I just say something and maybe make a suggestion, if it is at all possible? Maybe, and I'm just saying maybe, the township could purchase that tract of land and then designate it as open space, so nothing could ever be developed on that. And again, that's just a possibility. I just want to throw that out, not to get everybody's hopes up too high, but I think if that is possible, we could landlock that piece of property, and there will be nothing from the Wawa onto I think it's University Drive, so we could keep that property as township property.
We can certainly try.
I just have to say, it's infuriating to Supervisor Snyder, who sits on the Sewer Authority Board, to have been a part of this process and to feign that the board had no knowledge when these decisions and discussions were happening in spring of 2023. Now we have this piece of property that the Sewer Authority bought for $9 million of our money. And now you're going to say that this property is sort of going to be in limbo for 2 to 5 years, and you, as a Board of Supervisor, sit on the board of the Sewer Authority, and yet, throughout this entire process, you never made it a point to bring it to the public's attention. It's a $9 million sale, and the property being condemned is in the process of happening. Shame on you.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, the shirt's on, it's just a little cold. Virginia Walsh, I live in Swan Point. I live technically in Middletown, but I run my business, my law firm, out of Newtown on Penn's Trail. One of the things, and it might be more of a suggestion, is starting back from when this all started and the fact that we're all, really upset that we didn't know anything about this, we didn't know about the eminent domain. The rate increases, when I was looking at this and learning more about authorities that ever thought I would care to learn about them. It seems that the Newtown Bucks County Joint Municipal Authority is clearly, obviously, an authority, and it's not subject to the Public Utilities Commission. If it was subject to the Public Utilities Commission, there would be a whole bunch of rules in place and a commissioner that would govern everything that they do. Some of the rules also include notifying all of us when something is about to happen. When they plan something, the process would have looked much different than how it came about here. Even for eminent domain, the Municipal Authorities Act is, from what I understand, what governs the authority for the Newtown Bucks Joint Municipal Authority to run their operations. And one of the only things in there that the public is allowed to do after things have already been done to them by these board members that make these votes is to sue them in Bucks County Court of Common Pleas. And I would say that the way that's written right now and the way that it basically gives the authorities themselves their own power to do whatever they want without proper notification to the public, and then saying, well, the only option you have if you oppose this once you find out about it is to go sue us, is just a complete and total breakdown of communication and waste of money everywhere. Not to mention a waste of time with the courts, the judicial system, all of that. So I don't know. I know the Municipal Authorities Act is something that's done at state legislature level. But is there some way, and maybe the solicitor can answer this, is there something that we can put in place here that would govern the authority of the authority and put some type of ordinance in place that says, if you are going to try to take something by eminent domain, if you are going to raise rates by a certain percentage, if you are going to do any of the things that the Public Utilities Commission would otherwise govern a public utility, you have to put certain things in place in notifications to the public and give the public the ability to speak on it before you. Is there a way that we could do that at the township level? And maybe that's more of a question. I don't know if that could be answered now, but is it something that we have to go through and get it changed in the Municipal Authorities Act, or is it something that we can actually put in place ourselves as a group? Transparency, basically. Okay. That might be more of a question for the solicitor. I don't know if Mr. Sander has any response.
Maybe Mr. Sander could get that information for us. For
That's something we'd have to research.
Okay.
Thank you.
Could I suggest your research? We can't sell the sewer authority can't sell the land time limit. That doesn't make sense to me.
It's the eminent domain code that provides a time restriction. I don't have it in front of me, but there's a time. Once a public entity acquires property by eminent domain, there's a certain time period that they have to put it to the use for which they condemned it, but a certain time has to pass before they convey the property either back to the original owner or to a third party.
Could you find out?
I can absolutely find out for sure. No question.
Well, if they make the request to sell, if they are in a position to sell, why couldn't they bypass this time period? I think the time period is it in conjunction with giving it back to the original person or parties that they bought it from? So this way they do not have to go back to those parties within a 3-year period. But if, as an entity, they wanted to sell it hypothetically to the township for market value, why couldn't they do that?
I will check to see whether there is an exception to the rule to allow a transfer to another municipality, which I think is what you're asking.
Correct.
Well,
Yes,
I
will research that.
I apologize. I also back to the original seller, right? I mean.
Or back to the original seller. I mean, I'll take a look at exactly what the time limitations are and the procedure for once an entity condemns property, when they can convey it either back or to another.
Thank you.
I'd like that too.
Yeah, sure. Send it to the whole board.
I believe they would probably like it back and they would probably like to move ahead with the plans that they had before, as far as building the 245 apartments. That's what I heard.
John Swider, Swan Point, since 1987. And it was good news to hear about the suspension, but it's sort of like semantics. You know, you can suspend it, which means you can bring it back later, or if you can cancel, like Kyle said. And I would like to know, can we have a vote on canceling it? And if not tonight, when?
Can I just say, we are not the sewer authority, so they have to come out with a statement, which they will, that sums this all up. But none of us can do that here. We're not part of that. I'm here as a supervisor, and we're all supervisors. So we can't make a statement to, you know, close the whole thing up. They have to do that, and they haven't done that yet, but they will soon, as I understand.
But eventually, it would have to come back to this board, am I right?
No.
For a vote?
No.
No? Not good. This board's, not this board's project. Okay.
Sorry. But could you, because according to your solicitor, the sewer authority would have to come in front of this if it required land development approval, or if it submitted an application to the zoning hearing board. So they would have to, if they wanted to not sell this property and to develop it, maybe not even a sewer treatment plant, but to development, they would still have to probably come before you for land development approval or zoning. And at that time, if it was a sewer treatment plant, you would fully within your rights to say no. And that's what we would like to, that's what we would want, an assurance that our supervisors, if this sewer plant comes before you for any sort of approval, that you will say no. That's what we want.
I think you just heard us all say that, right?
Well, you said suspend it. And
that's because I'm not authorized to use other words. That's my opinion and my wordage. They have to come out with a statement that goes further than that. But I can't do that.
Well, you could assure us, well, you did. You said that if it comes before you, you guys would say no.
Right.
For any sort of approval. Thank you.
The last time we had this issue with the sewer plant, we instructed the manager to tell the sewer authority we would like it to not occur. Why don't we do the same thing tonight? Even if it's not a binding law, at least it's establishing our position.
I was going to ask the solicitor.
Yeah, I'm cautioning the board against taking action that is not on the agenda. You'd have to make a motion to amend the agenda, state the reason why, and then a revised agenda would have to be submitted tomorrow if you take any action that's not on the agenda.
Unless we were to take
state law.
Unless we were to take that action under other business.
I disagree.
I've seen it done before on boards taking that.
I understand, Phil. My advice is that the board not take action, and if you wish to take action, put it on the agenda for your next meeting.
Right. So could I make a request right now to get that on the next agenda? Do I need to make a motion? Is it talk about offline? What is your opinion?
I think you can ask direct the manager to place it on the next agenda.
Should we make a motion on that?
No, I would not make a motion on that.
I would like that if we get on the next agenda.
I would concur with that. I like that word.
I myself tend to understate things, so using the word suspension would, said it in stronger terms, be canceled.
I again see nothing wrong with bringing this up at other business because it is other business, and technically anything brought up at other business is not on the agenda. But I do remember in the past that we have directed the manager to send a letter in regards to this board maybe not wanting a project to go through or not wanting it to come to fruition. And we never needed to bring that on the agenda. We just had to direct the manager to send a letter in regards to that. And why can't we do that tonight?
Short of taking a vote, taking a motion with a second and a vote, if there's a consensus that you want to direct the manager to do that, I'd certainly be supportive.
I would like to direct the manager to do that.
I concur. Edward Polling. I'm pretty sure it's it.
Me too.
Sounds like we have a consensus.
I just have one comment, if I could. It seems to me wanting the money back, the 47%, is like saying that egg prices will come down after this summer. I don't think they ever will come down. So I hope what happens out of this, I know Mr. Clabber mentioned this about the township purchasing that land, but what I think is that the taxpayers already paid for that land, and the sewer authority should donate it to the township. I know, for example, that Bucks County, for $1, gave us the land at the Silver Lake Park. Isn't that correct? Off the bypass there, where you see the sign for the KVK Tech that makes opioid drugs. That park is our park, donated to us for $1. Maybe the sewer authority can do that with this piece of land, and they don't have to lower the prices.
That's not, I don't believe that can happen, because there will be, I'm sure, a suit in court from the original owner. So you would have to get through all of that legalese before you could get to that point. That's just a thought. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but so.
Hi, Bill Everett's on point. I was going to talk about the commissioners being against the project. It's, if you've heard about that and what the Middletown Township is actively doing to fight against the project. But instead, I'd like to ask you to, that whole discussion you just had, when you clear it up, and I'd like to see if the sewer authority has any comments, discussion tonight. They're in the back of the room.
I don't think Mr. Shankman is here representing the sewer authority tonight, so to put him on the spot like that seems to be unfair.
Well, I would let him answer.
Well, this is public comment, sir.
Yeah.
It would be appropriate to address your comments to the chair. Thank you.
Okay, I just thought it'd be good. He heard all this, that it'd be appropriate time for them to weigh in, that's all. But you're going to wrap this up, and what I'm expecting is you're going to put it on the agenda for next meeting. Is that what I heard?
No, I think the action that would have been taken at the next meeting was taken by consensus already this evening.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, which includes old or new business. If anybody has old or new business.
I just have one question in regards to, I know we had directed the manager to send out RFPs for different professionals, and I'm just wondering what the status is on that.
Certainly. So the RFPs for AV production has gone out. The RFPs for engineer and traffic engineer have gone out, and we're currently working on the RFP for the auditor.
These are, some of these are RFQs.
Right, they're RFIs.
RFIs?
Yeah, it's the same process, it's just a slimmed
All
down
right, I'm
process.
getting, then you didn't send out something asking for proposals, only for the one proposal you asked for. The other ones were just requests for qualifications. So that doesn't bind us to receive proposals. Which one is where we're actually asking for a proposal?
That's, they're both, it's two separate processes, but it's the same result. One is a little bit more slimmed down, the RFQs are a little bit easier to respond to with a shorter turnaround time.
Okay, thank you.